Hey, happy Friday, my friends. Welcome back to the show. Today we're taking a little diversion from normal, and actually, you get to meet my two kiddos. They're actually grown in their 20s. My daughter Bailey is 23. My son Logan just turned 22 a couple of months ago. And we're hanging out at our cabin, actually in Canada. We're celebrating the 4th of July and talking about and thinking about freedoms. So I wanted to get them on the show just to get their perspective on a few things. So tune in as you get to meet my greatest accomplishment in being a mom to these two human beings.
Welcome to the Grace-Filled Leader Podcast. Do you want better work-life balance? Do you get stuck in patterns of perfectionism and people-pleasing? Have you always been an overachiever, but never really feel good enough, no matter how much outward success you achieve? Hi, I'm Tanya, a wife, mom, leader, Christian life coach, and Jesus lover. For most of my life, I tried to find worthiness through achievement, but no matter how hard I worked or how much I achieved, I never felt like I was enough. I was left burned out, empty, and exhausted. I had no time or energy for myself or my family. I needed balance. I needed peace. I finally started to live like an unconditionally loved daughter of the King, saved by grace. This faith-led podcast will teach you self-care routines and practical leadership strategies to help you navigate life and leadership. If you're ready to stop people-pleasing and start living and leading God's way, this podcast is for you. Unbutton your blazers and roll up your sleeves, sister friends. It's time to get after it.
Hello, my beautiful Bailey. I wonder if you could just introduce yourself to the audience on the show today and just tell us a little bit about yourself and what freedom means to you and all of that good stuff.
Hi, my name's Bailey. I am 23 and I'm currently going to medical school right now. So what freedom means to me is the ability for me to attend medical school freely, especially as a woman, as well as the ability to attend church whenever I want, however often I want, and have that religious freedom to kind of explore and find myself in my faith.
So Bailey, what has it meant to you just kind of growing up knowing Jesus and growing up as a kid and through college? What do you think that has meant in your life, just having that background of your Christian faith?
So growing up in the church, when I was younger, it really meant a lot of kind of social interactions and making friends that had similar values as me, and we'd go to church together and hear the word and then have some fun afterward. And it also offered an outlet for me as I participated in the worship team as I grew older. And it also was always just almost a good backbone to fall on when I was going through difficult times or having a bad day, to just ask Jesus for help and just bow my head and kind of admit where I'm struggling and admit to Him that, surrender my worries to Him, and always just having that to fall back on at any time of the day or period in my life when I was struggling.
So if we think about freedoms and maybe things, living in a country where we've known freedoms all of our life that maybe other people don't have in other countries or whatever, what are some of the things you think that we or you or people in general take for granted as the freedoms that we enjoy?
I was thinking about this question the other day about, just getting my freedom of getting to choose however I wanted to spend a summer day. I could go to the pool, stay at home, hang out. I could see my friends. I could go shopping, not have any worries as I'm going out and about throughout my day about, something being taken away from me, whether I needed to be careful about where I went, kind of just always feeling safe. That's really what I was thinking about, how I tend to take for granted, and not everyone is as blessed with that kind of feeling of peace and truly freedom that we get to live with each day.
Cool. Anything else you want to say to our audience or to leave them with as we celebrate this 4th of July, or?
I just hope that it's a time where I hope that everyone that is able to spend time with those that are close to them, whether it be family, friends, pets. I know sometimes it can be hard when you have to watch everybody else around you have fun, and you might be feeling lonely or be stuck working or things like that. But I think just really taking just a few minutes out of the joyful, fun summer weekend to reflect on what you have and what you take for granted on a day-to-day basis, and maybe reach out to those individuals that you wish you could be spending your time with.
Thanks, Bailey.
Thank you.
So next we have my second born. My son Logan is here with us today. Logan, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about who you are, how old you are, what you've got going on in your life these days?
Well, I was born in 2001, so I'm 22 years old. Right now, during the summer, I'm working at my father's cabinet shop, but other than that, I've been going to school at Bemidji State, where I've been studying science education.
Yeah, good. And you're just finished your junior year in college, right?
Mm-hmm. Just finished.
So as we talk about, celebrating Independence Day and the freedoms that we enjoy here in this country, what does freedom mean to you, Logan?
And there's a lot of things you could say about it. To me, freedom has just always been getting to have that choice and finally, deciding, this is my life. I decide how I want to live it, and understanding the responsibility that comes with it.
Yeah, there's a lot of responsibility that goes with freedom, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
So Bailey was talking about one of the freedoms that she, what freedom means to her is kind of the ability to practice her faith and go to church when she's wants to. Do you think, we sometimes take that for granted here in the United States, just the ability to be open about our Christian faith and talk about Jesus? When you think about growing up, knowing Jesus, and just kind of what your faith has meant at different times in your life, how has that been important in your life? Has it helped you with difficult times, or what do you think? If you think about not having had your faith or knowing Jesus, can you tell me what it's meant to you having that versus what it might be like if you hadn't?
Well, I feel like if I hadn't had that faith growing up, and if I had never found that, I feel like it would be pretty hard to find real meaning in the things I do day to day.
Yeah.
And just, I don't know, it always seemed to me, even though stuff was confusing about, the Bible and Jesus' teachings and everything I was taught growing up, even though it's confusing, the more I learn about it and the more I look into it myself and just, talk to God, I feel like I gain more understanding. And if I don't gain understanding, I still have that faith that everything is going to be okay. And that even though I can't see it, I know there's plans and beauty in the works that I just can't understand.
Yeah. Do you think as we get older it's easier to have faith and just kind of believe, or do you think it's harder? Do we get in our own way? Like when you think about when you were a kid versus when you're an adult, do you think that when you're a kid you just had faith without question and you question it more as an adult, or do you think it's just grown and grown as you've gotten older?
I feel like it's a bit of both. I feel like when you're a kid, it's easier to have that unquestioning faith. But as you get older, you kind of start to see more of the problems in the world and the stress in your life, and you wonder if your faith is really holding up, whether somebody's watching out for you or not.
Yeah.
But I think I feel like as a faith person, you can question your faith, but always seek to understand it more, not just to discard it.
Yeah.
And I feel like one thing we just take for granted just in our freedoms is just the ability to, have differences of faith and practice and difference of religions. And sometimes it is harder when you get to be an adult because, it's not as simple as sometimes it's not as simple as just saying you are Christian or whatever you want to be. There's work and discipline that goes along with that. And so I think some people have trouble really staying clear with their faith because some people just want the benefits of being a Christian without serving God.
Yeah.
But I think just one of the things we take for granted in this country is just our ability to have differences of faith, different opinions, and just being able to say what we believe. Because many places, you have to believe you have to be converted to a certain doctrine, or you can't say certain things without being persecuted. And some days it feels like there's partial persecution nowadays, maybe not to the same extent maybe not to the extent the Bible was referring to, but it seems that most people say they're tolerant and, are accepting of those with different views, but it seems like people who believe in Jesus and call themselves Christians are often looked down on or seen as like bad, judgmental, or in the way of progress or something like that. And I feel, but they're accepting of, but like others are accepting of like people who decide they're atheists, Buddhist, Muslim, whatever they want to believe. But it seems as the years go by, and seems like there's become a more disdain for Jesus.
Yeah.
Like
the world is trying to deny God's truth or reject it and make it harder and harder to be a Jesus follower, and when we believe in biblical truth, right? Like, because the world tells us different things or lies.
Yeah, and I feel like people want to just dismiss it, the fact that there is a greater power out there, because it doesn't fit with their own sense of logic. But also, I think a lot of it comes from this idea that God and Jesus, if you don't follow them, then it means they punish you for not believing in them, and they send you to hell, when in reality it's through Jesus that we are redeemed.
That's right, yeah. So, is there anything else you want to leave our audience with today, Logan?
I think I just want to say that as Americans and as people, just in general, as human beings, we have to understand and appreciate the freedoms we have and never take them for granted. And I just think we also need to understand with that freedom becomes a responsibility to uphold it.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, buddy.
And thank you, friends, for listening in on this little conversation with my kiddos. They have unique perspectives and often teach me a thing or two. I hope you have a wonderful, faith-filled and grace-filled weekend, and we'll be back on the show on Monday.
I pray this episode blessed you, spoke to you, or encouraged you in some way. If so, please share it with a friend and head on over to Apple Podcasts to leave me a review. That's the only way for me to know if you're enjoying the show. Nothing blesses me more than to hear from you. Also, come on over to our free Facebook community. This is a great place for us to support one another on our faith and leadership journeys. You can find the link to the group in the show notes or go to gracefilledleader.com/community. If you have questions or content ideas for the show, please send me a message on SpeakPipe or via email. Go to gracefilledleader.com/contact and leave a written or voice recorded message. I would love to know how I can best serve you on the podcast. Now to Him who can do immeasurably more than we can ask or imagine, according to His power that is at work within us. Ephesians 3, verse 20. Until next time, my friends, God bless.